use. So he's in there. There was bathrooms, there was electricity, and he basically made it into an apartment and did it on the low for years.
Nice. That's crazy. That would be awesome. So nice. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine living at the ballpark every day?
Yep. And back in the day, there was less security. You could get away with those things back then,
Yep. Just bust into the hot dog stand and you got everything.
It's like a movie.
They should make a movie about it.
They should.
You guys see that thing on Twitter just before we kick this thing in? I can't remember who posted it, but it was basically showing the Best Buys locations across like North America or the US or something, and it'd go really quick through the years. And it's just crazy how it just like builds up, and then all of a sudden it just starts like disappearing. It's crazy.
No, I haven't seen that.
Speaking of movies.
I got to see that.
All right, boys, you ready to kick this in or what?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
District, the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden, they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's and I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
Welcome back, Fantasyland, to the district where winners love to hang. And I love to hang with these two guys. To my left, we've got the man with the flow. He's wearing a serious top, too. I want to see that. Oh, that's a Minnesota. I love that. Look at that. Nice golf shirt, Vikings shirt. The flow's in full effect. And then below us, we got our boy, the OG Fantasy. Dan, I'll go back to you first, man. How's it do? Dude, you're looking good today. You tell me you're busy running around. I don't see you much on Twitter, but you're looking good, dude. Looking good.
Yeah, it's one of those rare days off from work and bazillion things to do, so running around like crazy. But I've been excited about getting on this pod all day. It's just like I have not spent enough time thinking about fantasy football over the past week, so this is my chance to just really indulge myself. So let's do this thing.
Agree, man. Agree. It feels every day feels like that now. Just crazy Groundhog Day. Busy, running. And then we finally get to sit down with a beer and our boy, the OG Fantasy, Theo, man. You've just become the third co-host of the show. I mean, every week I'm like, I can't not bring Theo on, man. He's got so much goodness to share. Thanks for coming on, brother. We love having you on, and welcome back to the district, man.
No, I'm stoked. I mean, it's kind of been like a slow drip. It's been, weeks and weeks of just talking NFL draft, and now 1 week away.
Bring it.
It's like it's a little surreal this year because you have all these guys that are going to get drafted in the top 10 picks. Usually, we only have a few fantasy relevant players to talk about in the first round. And then the day 2 is our day, but it seems like a week from now, we're just going to be freaking out. It's going to be awesome.
It's crazy, right? It's literally like a week today in Cleveland. FFPC drafts, we know they're 15 days, I believe, most of them. Maybe 15 and a bit, maybe just under 16 days. So tonight, I mean, we got rookies. And we're gonna try to help you guys figure out the tiers, right? Because right now you're managing your rosters. We're gonna touch on managing your rosters as we approach the NFL draft. but where do you want to be in the draft? Depending on, who your target is, what players you're looking at, what position you're thinking of. So we're going to be going over all that tonight, helping you get ready and your rosters for what's coming up in a week in Cleveland. And to do that, we bring in a special guest. We could call this 420-ish because, the man was busy on the holiday itself. But, he made time for us this week. We appreciate it. And we're happy to have our boy Mike at Fantasy Stoner. Brother, welcome to the GOAT District.
Well, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. You look all happy and shiny. OG's over there looking like Brock Lesnar. With his little haircut.
Somebody else said that. Somebody else said that to me this week. I never got that. I guess I got to grow my hair out a little more or something like that.
Hey, It could be the lighting, making your skin all red. You just look like Enid Lesnar, even though you're smiling.
Hey, Lesnar's a good Minnesota guy.
Yeah, he is. I threw a little Minnesota tie in there. I like that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, see, Mike and I are working on opposite ends of the skull. He's working on the bottom end. I'm working on the top end. We got between us, we have the bases covered.
Yeah, it hasn't grown up there in quite some time. So I went the Jordan route way back.
Yeah, there you go.
And just shaved it. I figured it got him on the cover of Wheaties. Let's see what it can do for me. I'm still waiting. Still waiting to see what the baldness can do for me. But yeah, 420 was fun, man. It was a good day. It was kind of busy. I'm usually up at like 5 a.m. anyway, but
did you get up at 4:20?
I set my alarm for 4 a.m. to get up and, had a fat blunt twisted up and smoked that at 4:20 in the morning, which was nice. Yeah. I mean, I like going outside and taking a walk, and so it was nice. The weather wasn't too chilly. And it had gotten cold the last few days, but Tuesday was really nice. So it was nice to take a walk and burn that in the morning. And then, I think I was probably up for like an hour and went back to sleep until I woke up and had work. Yeah, I have a real job too. I'm sure people are surprised at that. They think I'm just like the dude on the couch that just gets high and takes a nap all day. I mean, I do that often. Don't get it twisted, but I do actually have like a real job that I work, 9 to 5-ish.
So I guess like portfolio wise, because I mean we interact on Twitter. I see you a lot on Twitter. That's why I wanted to have you on. I always say on the show, like, I love people who just bring positive energy to Fantasyland. And I
do that most of the time. I have my
most of the time. But even if you don't, I mean, I don't think people take it the wrong way just because you have a way, right? That some people just have a way, and I appreciate that with what you spread out there in Fantasyland.
I think also, you're reading a text. So when I say something in my head, or if I say it out loud, it comes off a little bit different. You get the inflection, you understand the meaning behind it. Whereas if you're just reading it on a text, I don't know, maybe you had a bad day. Maybe you just had a fight with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. So now you're reading that in a way that triggers you, and maybe you're taking it completely different than it should. So as many times as I throw things out there that kind of, fuel the fire and stir the pot and irk some people, yeah, I'm never doing it to intentionally be malicious to someone. Sometimes I'm just an asshole and, I say whatever. But I oftentimes will screen myself. There's a lot of stuff that I delete, man. You should see when I go through my drafts and delete the things that I didn't say. And I'm like, ooh, that would have been taken way off, Like, let me just read that from an unbiased, perspective from a consumer rather than a producer of this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to send that one. We'll scroll past it and keep going. But yeah, I mean, I try to get in there. So what are you asking? Where's the question in there?
No, I was going to say, so if anyone who, sees you out there, maybe doesn't know you as well, give us an idea what your fantasy portfolio looks like. Like, are you mixing it up with Dynasty? Are you doing any best balls? You play mostly redraft?
Yeah, I had way too many leagues the last few years. So I've actually cut down. I should be under 20 total leagues between redraft and Dynasty this year. that would probably include, my couple home leagues that I still do that are redraft leagues. And then, the Scott Fish Bowl that I got invited to, which was dope.
Nice.
I'm still trying to figure out my 2 musicians to put in as my potential league divisions, whatever. But, yeah, so, I kind of do all that. And I'd like to get into doing more best ball stuff. I just didn't do it last year because there was other stuff. I was, a big Rona hit, and every day somebody wants to do a mock draft. And I'm like, cool. And then 3 out of 10 mock drafts become leagues. And you're like, this isn't what I signed up for. Like, why do I keep saying yes to all this? But we didn't have anything else to do. So
there you go.
Last year was kind of rough. I didn't feel like I had enough time and energy to put into it all. So I cut back a lot of leagues. I got out of some, and again, a lot of people were in the same boat. They were like, yeah, let's just get rid of this shit.
Yeah.
Because, we just did this because of Big Rona. But yeah, I'm going to do some more best ball. I'd like to get into learning some more DFS stuff. I just think that's fun. I think that adds a new little twist to it, especially if you're, if you're in a handful of leagues and your teams are already shitting the bed and you're out of it. Now you kind of have a little something else to get you going through the week instead of, fucking putting a lineup in there for losing teams again. That sucks. That's just no fun.
Yeah, you do a league with John Hansen, don't you? Am I incorrect about that?
Everybody thought that was me.
No, it's a different guy, huh?
Yeah, there's another guy that they were calling the Stoner, and I don't know what his handle is. But yeah, everybody kept thinking it was me, and it wasn't. So I kept telling John Hansen, like, stop referring to that dude in that manner on your show.
I mean, you're the Stoner. I mean, you're the only stoner.
But we chatted about
it. That's identity stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we had a good time with it. We laughed about it, and I told him, I'm like, now you just got to get me in the league with him, and then the winner becomes the Stoner, the real one.
Yes,
so,
that's exactly what it should be. Cage match.
We'll see if that works out.
Shout out to Casey here.
It was cool. The Scott Fish Bowl, I got to play against Matthew Berry last year. That was fun.
Nice.
I requested to be in his division. I didn't do great. I did make it to the playoffs, but I beat Barry heads up 1-on-1. So,
that's all that matters.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, I'm undefeated against him. I'm gonna add that to my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, you should do that. Know. I mean, it's almost time to retire then. I mean, if you
that's what I was
want to know against Barry.
I might need to quit a little bit, But yeah, I kind of do it all. I love that Sunday morning interaction. It gets a little hectic and crazy. There are a lot of people that are just rapid fire asking questions, and you get into this Discord and you're answering questions for these people, and so it's a lot of fun. It's definitely at the end of the year when you get those DMs and you get those tweets that people are like, dude, thanks for all your help. I won my work league. I beat my brother-in-law finally. Like, that stuff is, I think that's what's most fun about it all. Just hearing that shit at the end of the year.
That's awesome.
Of course, I like to win. I like to win my own. But if I can't win my own, I like to know that I helped somebody pull off a title.
For sure. Casey McCoy says it right. Why say no when say so good to say yes? It feels so good.
Yeah, when it feels so good to say yes.
True, right? We all get stuck with too many leagues and then have to kind of readjust, going into the off season. I did a lot of that going into this off season. Now, look, tonight we're going to talk a lot of draft, and from what I understand, you're a 49ers fan. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes.
You must be thrilled, excited, pumped for this.
Yeah,
this weekend.
I mean, cautiously optimistic at this point. To be honest, I was super excited. I was like, look, we're getting Justin Fields, we're getting Trey Lance, we're getting a quarterback that can run every play in Shanahan's offense the way that he pictures it in his fucking head. And now I'm hearing that everybody thinks it's Mac Jones. So I don't want Mac Jones. I don't feel like you would make that trade for Mac Jones. I think he's a dude they could have gotten up. They were sitting at 12. They really wanted him. They could have moved up to 8 and snagged him and not traded away, your future. I just don't feel like you're making that move for him. I think that was all bullshit. So the question is it Justin Fields or Trey Lance? My heart wants Trey Lance. He's like the underdog kid who I just feel like is going to be a beast when he gets out there. I feel like Josh Allen. You're going to see some Josh Allen in that kid. But he may even be, more accurate he should be more accurate from the start than Josh Allen was. But he's a big body dude who is just going to run people over, man. He's just going to be Cam Newton, but he can throw the ball. That's a scary thought. When Cam Newton came in the league, he was a baller. That kid could play. He struggled throwing the ball. Luckily, he had guys that could go up and get it for him, guys that can make plays. He had Greg Olsen he could count on. But if that dude knew how to put the ball somewhere, like they say Trey Lance can, Jesus Christ, that's scary. But here we have the potential of Mac Jones. So I don't know, man. I'm cautiously optimistic. But I think Justin Fields is probably the right pick. He just feels like the right pick. He feels like a dude that can step on the field and be ready to go day one.
Yeah,
and then you can get rid of Jimmy G, man. That's $23 million you're saving.
Yeah.
I love you, Jimmy. You're handsome as fuck. Your chiseled jaw is so beautiful, but it's time for you to move on. Go back to New England.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that, with a week to go, you get your wish and they go with one of those guys who I think have such a higher upside than Mac Jones. Yeah. Like you trade the whole farm to get Kirk Cousins by getting a guy like Mac Jones. I don't think he'll be horrible, but I don't see him as an upside guy. I'm a huge Justin Fields guy, and I really think it's a week to go. There could be a lot of smoke being blown there. The Vegas odds for the pick keep going back and forth on these guys. I'm really hoping it's going to be Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the smart pick.
Yeah, absolutely. That offense with Justin Fields is just scary. It's just flat out scary.
Jones is the favorite, right now, according to Vegas?
What I saw most recently was Jones was like minus 130 and Fields was like plus 150. So it's real close if it was a boxing match or something like that. And that could get tight as the week goes on. But, who knows at this point?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some smoke screening going on with Jones. I would be surprised if that was who they traded up to get. I think that's kind of, I think they had to have at least decided, well, that's if that's what we end up with, we'd be okay with it. But I really think they're shooting higher than that. And for me, Fields is definitely the one. You put I think Fields is just I'm just surprised at all the negative, attention that's around Fields right now. Everybody is kind of pushing him down in their mock drafts and everything else. And I really feel like, he's probably got the highest upside of anyone in this draft. Even if Trevor Lawrence.
I feel like there's some Belichickian shenanigans behind this Justin Fields slander campaign.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. Because the guy is just, he's got basically the arm talent of Lawrence. He's got better legs than Lawrence.
And he's smart too, right? Granted, Ohio State's not the best school in the world, but I think he's shown to be an intelligent kid.
Right, exactly, and that's a super important point. And the thing is, you can look at the arm talent and everything else you want to look at, as far as physical attributes of any quarterback. But what's going to matter is when you get into the NFL, what's going on right in here in that basically 2 seconds you have to process all the information that has to be processed. If you can process that fast, it doesn't matter. What else? Look at Tom Brady. He was never that great of an arm talent. He was never that great of an athlete, but he's got it right up here, and if you got that going on, you're going to be a success.
Yeah, that picks up a split second on a ball. If you don't have the zip to get that out, but you process it quick enough,
right?
I mean, that picks up that little bit of time that you need when you don't have the zip on the ball.
Yeah.
I've actually been thinking there's that show on it was called QB1 or something on Netflix, right? I forget the name of the show, but it was about quarterbacks in high school. Justin Fields was one of the dudes that they chronicled on the show. And I haven't seen it in years, but I'd be interested to go back and take a look at it and kind of see him from then until now, and see how he's progressed. Just doing some of the typical normal things. It doesn't have to be a fucking deep dive into everything that he does, but I'd be curious just to see how he's grown since then.
John makes a great point about the Ohio State thing, but like you guys said, Fields was a can't-miss prospect. He's been this big-time prospect to Georgia, and, he was good there, goes to Ohio State, wins the job, and it's like people forget the 2019, just pulling up his stats, the guy goes 41 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions in the Big Ten, and it's like we want to nitpick. And then anybody who can just turn on that Clemson game and watch that game and not want that guy on their team is just – it's like – what am I missing here? The guy runs in 4.4s, and he's deadly accurate. I mean, I think he could be an absolute star. He could be the kind of guy could challenge quarterback 1 overall in fantasy football down the road.
And he played hurt too. I mean, 2 cracked ribs.
Yeah.
I mean, find me another quarterback who can do everything he was doing with 2 cracked ribs.
No, absolutely.
Pretty tough.
Yeah, I'm down for Justin Fields to be my quarterback of the future as a Niner fan. I really hope that that's the route that it goes.
No, if he goes to the Niners, I mean, that's QB1 material.
And if it happens to be Trey Lance,
that's good.
And I've contended from the start that if they're intending on keeping Jimmy, like maybe Trey Lance is the dude.
Right.
And then Jimmy's going to start this year, or at least a portion of it, and give Lance time to just learn a little bit. But who knows? That team is built to win right now.
Yeah.
They have some holes. They need some depth, but that team is built to win.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're good enough to even carry Garoppolo, if they need to, for long enough until whoever they pick at 3 is ready to take the reins.
Very true, because if not Jimmy G, you're stuck with Josh Rosen and whoever that other clown, Nate Sudfeld, they just signed the other day. Those are your backups to a rookie. So I don't know if that's a great idea.
Right, exactly. I think they got to hang on to Jimmy G. I kind of see it as being the scenario that played out a few years ago with Alex Smith and Kaepernick.
Yep.
And Smith ran with the team, and then all of a sudden, he got hurt. He got out. Kaepernick got in, and they didn't put Alex Smith back in.
See, I was going to go to KC, Dan, and
if they can do the full Mahomes, great.
Just because, actually, I was going to bring this article up today. Shout out to Theo, who got me all excited about signing up for The Athletic. But really good article here by Robert Mays. And they talk about that, how the 49ers going into this draft, they're looking like KC when they brought in Mahomes. They had all the weapons. The team was just ready to go to the next level. They just needed that quarterback. But then, like you said, they had Alex Smith, gave him a bit of time, and then the rest is history, right? He kind of sat in the Ferrari and drove that into the end zone. But no, I wanted to just because we talked about the odds. I'm surprised about this. I don't know if I'm missing something, but Justin Fields right now plus 140 to be the 3rd pick overall. Trey Lance plus 150. Zach Wilson, plus 2,000. I'm not seeing Mac Jones on here. So I don't know if it's because he's like the absolute favorite and I'm just not.
He's got to be on there.
Yeah, he's definitely not even an option. Anyways, I'll come back to that. So
he looks like a milk. He looks like a bag of milk. That's what someone said to me before, and I found that to be hysterical. And I can't have a bag of milk as my quarterback. I can't. It shouldn't be a thing.
Mike, sometimes we go the whole show without an air horn. You got it within the first 30 seconds, and I think you're on number 2 or 3 right now.
Yep.
Before we go further, you talked about the depth that this team needs. I mean, they've got what, 9 picks? 9 picks overall. They got 3 fifth rounders, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What would you like to see? Like, what is something you'd like to see once we get into, past that first round?
From a fantasy perspective, I think they do need to add to their wide receiver room. I think they lost Kendrick Bourne, so they're going to need to bring in another guy. That could be someone they pick in the second round, depending on, if any one of those guys drops down, if Mitchell or Marshall would drop down a little bit, or any one of those fucking lollipop guild, Tony or the Moore brothers, Rondell or Elijah, all 3 of the guys that are the next Tyreek Hill that everyone keeps saying is the next Tyreek Hill. I mean, it could be one of those guys, but they really need quarterback. They need interior offensive linemen. They really need a center. Like if Creed Humphrey would be a guy that I would love to see them try to move up even to the end of the first to grab him, the center from Oklahoma. But that's not, that's not fun for fantasy purposes. But it is, though, because, I mean, that's a weak spot in their offensive line that helps Mostert, that helps Kittle, that helps everybody on the offense. So, so realistically speaking, I'd love for them to maybe grab a corner or an interior offensive lineman with their second pick. That would probably be a good spot for them to trade up or down. And then their third pick could be, I know somebody in here loves Tommy Tremble, right? He loves Tremble. I'm a Tommy Tremble. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I like Tommy. He could be the target in the third round. But I think with them re-signing Juice, that he's probably not going to be someone they bring in. Right. I could see them going wide receiver there in the third. Like Tylan Wallace would be a good compliment. Maybe somebody like that. But, yeah, I don't know. They got some holes to fill. There are other guys that they can snag later in that fifth round when they have all those picks. There are centers they could grab there. I think Drake Jackson from Kentucky, and there's a kid from Stanford. There's a guard from Notre Dame that I really like. So, there's some guys they could pick up later in the draft to fill the offensive line. So from a fantasy perspective, maybe going wide receiver in the second round would be pretty dope. I mean, I've always liked Rondell Moore. I don't care how big he is. I've always been a fan of that dude. And I don't know. He seems like somebody that Shanahan could have some fun with.
Dan and I wouldn't be mad about that. That's for sure. Because we just picked them up. Which draft was that in, Dan? Was that the Depot or was that the Money League? I think it was the Depot, no? As our fifth or sixth receiver.
We picked up the other more.
That's right.
I think here's the thing. Everybody thinks all these receivers are going to hit, right? Like last year we had a bunch of dudes, and CD was awesome, and limited time with Dak even, and Justin Jefferson was great, and I think Judy's going to be good, and Pittman's going to be an okay player. But all of these wide receivers we have coming in this year can't be superstars, right?
Right.
Like somebody has to fail.
Right.
Or somebody has to take time to progress like Devontae Parker did. You're not just going to come in and be Justin Jefferson. Like Jamar Chase is probably going to be that dude who does that. But, all those Alabama receivers and like everybody else isn't going to be guaranteed to be able to do that. So I hate all these comps when you hear Tyreek Hills and they're this guy and they're like, no, just let them play a little bit. I like the old school comps when we retire, we find an old retired guy like Steve. I like the Steve Smith comp. Like which one of these guys is going to be Steve Smith? That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Hill's also kind of a one-off. You know what I mean? Like to say that he's the next Hill White because the guy's fast.
Right. Everybody.
Because he's small. That's why. Because they're tiny. They're 5'8" receivers. That's
and Hill is a total outlier too. I mean, and so trying to comp everybody to an outlier is just like that's a losing proposition to start with. And also, I mean, the whole thing I hate about comps is just the fact that everybody is comped to somebody fantastic. Nobody's ever comping anyone to,
Bushi Muhammad.
Like not even Dwayne Bowe or anything like
Kevin
that.
White.
Kevin White.
He's a Kevin White comp for sure.
Yeah. No,
yeah, you're
nobody,
right though. You're right.
Yeah. So it's like always the good side of the comp. It's like, well, he could be this. In a perfect world, he could be that, but there's
I heard
also
all
this.
three of those guys, and Waddle was another guy that I've heard is going to be Tyreek Hill.
Exactly.
Yeah, Waddle is definitely getting the Tyreeks.
Now we got 5 Tyreek Hills in the league. Like this.
Yeah, right. The odds are. Let's be honest. The odds are it's going to be 20 years before we see another Tyreek Hill. Okay, I mean, so let's just stop chasing the fantasy. I know it's fantasy football, but still, you got to be realistic. I mean, fantasy football players are the most optimistic people in the world. I'm 100% convinced of that. Nobody is more optimistic than us. I mean, we look at everybody, we see their peak season and we think that's what their baseline is now.
Especially with rookies.
Yeah. And then rookies, every rookie
as soon as we plant our flag in somebody too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We got to ride or die with that guy.
We're like that. Like we're not listening to anything,
Right, exactly. And I'm sitting there. I feel like I'm a little bit out on my own, but I'm always like on the other side of it. I'm like thinking of all these ways that people can fail, and sometimes I struggle to find enough guys. I'm like, I really want to draft this guy, because I'm looking at the ways he can fail rather than the ways he can succeed. But on the other hand, you can't go too far down that road either, because if you don't take a chance on a Stephon Diggs, if you don't take a chance on guys like that, you're never going to get one. A George Kittle, you're not going to get guys like that if you don't sit there and be able to look at the positives. Chase Claypool, another one. So,
yeah, those guys, Kittle and Diggs and those guys, like you said, are outliers, but you can see traits in guys like Kittle and Diggs. And those are the things that I always try to remember. So those are the kind of comps that I really like to make, especially with active players. Like, ooh, that guy reminds me of Kittle when he blocks. Right. That guy reminds me of Diggs when he goes up for that ball.
Right.
Rather than saying he looks like Stephon Diggs out there.
Right.
Those are the things that make me say, hey, that dude can be a really good player. Because he does that like Diggs does that. And look how good Diggs can be.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's the non-fantasy relevant stuff that players do, Green Bay, they're looking for wide receivers who can block downfield, and that's one of the first traits they're looking for. And they're like, well, if you can catch the ball, that's cool, but we got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So, even if you're not that great at catching the ball, we'll figure it out. But they would just want guys who can block downfield good. So
I was very surprised they didn't sign Corey Davis. He just seemed like the right free agent wide receiver for them. For that reason also, because he's a big dude that will block downfield.
Yes.
I feel like Corey needed to go into a similar situation as Tennessee where he needed someone ahead of him. Like he can't be the one. Like in my opinion. And I don't know that Mims is like, I feel like Mims is kind of in the same role. Like, I feel like they're both.
Like Green Bay was perfect. He would have had.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Because Corey Davis, he can be the 1B, but probably not the 1A. He can be a number 2. He can be a 1B, but not a 1A or a 1.
100%. Okay, guys, before we get, kind of.
But everybody who loved him back then still thinks he has the potential to be an alpha.
All right. Yes, exactly.
True.
Before you go, JD,
we're still optimistic. Exactly. Yeah.
I got a question for Mike before we get off of San Francisco.
Let's do it.
All right. Handicap the backfield for me. All right. We got Mostert. We got.
He's asking for a friend, by the way.
Yeah, I'm totally asking for a friend. You got Mostert. You got Wilson. We just added Gallman, and then there's still Hasty lurking in the background. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought going into the draft that running back might be a position they would use one of those 5th round picks on.
Right.
But now that they brought in Gallman, I don't see that happening. Raheem's going to be the starter. I mean, I can't see him not being the starter. But Wilson is a guy that I really like Wilson.
Oh yeah.
He just does.
That's right, Dan.
Does
That's
everything.
right. Good answer, Mike.
Yeah, he does everything perfect for that offense.
Mm-hmm.
He steps up when he needs to, and I mean, law of averages says that these guys at that position are going to get hurt at some point. I don't want to say injury prone. I don't think it's about that. I just think you play at a position that you're just bound to get hurt, man. You're taking lumps. So he's going to have a chance to probably start a few games. I think, let's just say all told, they're all healthy. Raheem would probably be around the 50% of the touches mark. Maybe. I don't know if any one of them will hit 50%.
Right.
To be honest. Yeah. I mean, I like Wilson though. I like Wilson to be a guy that'll score some touchdowns, dude. He might snipe that job from Raheem if he has a couple bad games. And you're getting him
injury, right?
I think they're all going to be good value now. It just depends on what you need. If you need a good RB3, you're going to draft Raheem and whatever. I wouldn't even know where he's going right now. The 7th round, maybe. I mean,
right.
I don't think he's going that late.
6th, maybe.
Well, it depends on whether you're talking best ball or dynasty.
Yeah, I haven't done anything for anything. I've stayed away. I've gotten tired of, like you said earlier, there's been so much just draft talk since the end of the season, and at this point it's just tiring. Everyone's putting out mock drafts and they're all the same, and I just wanted to get started and be done with. And then we can get to our rookie drafts, which is obviously, one step closer to the season starting.
Yep.
Mike, do you have,
Jeff Wilson's the guy that I love in that backfield, by the way.
Do you have a hard out tonight? Do you have a curfew or anything that we need to pay attention to?
No.
All right, good stuff. Because we just finished like the pregame. That was like the pregame intro warm up right there.
Yeah, that's fine. I tend to ramble sometimes.
No, man, dude, it's all good, man. Honestly, this conversation has been awesome. I just want to remind the people, we love you and thank you for tuning in, watching the show. Please smash the subscribe button. You can tap the like button and maybe nudge the reminder button on any of those shows we got coming up. We got a lot of good stuff coming up, man. Theo, I know you've been lining up some serious guests. April 28th, we've got the mega live rookie mock where we've got some bangers. Top-end Devi professionals in Fantasyland coming on the show to do a live rookie mock on the 28th. On May 3rd, we got the True North Fantasy Football crew coming in for Ballin' for a live best ball episode. And then
I love those guys.
Those guys are awesome.
Our friends from the North. I love
Yes.
I love our friends from the North.
True North, man. Bunch of good guys over there. Will's going to jump on with them. Trav. So hit it up. Subscribe. What was that? The 5th, right? Theo, we've got Josh Larkey coming on.
Josh
the
Larkey's
5th.
coming on. Yep.
Again,
And we have
drop
Chris Vaccaro on May 12th.
There you go.
Bring your notepad, boys.
Exactly.
We've got a double 500,000, half a milli. Well, let's see. No, one of them was 250,000. The other one was 500,000, right? Abib.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to be on, and he back-to-back winner of the Football Guys Championship. Just an incredible feat.
One of the best players in the world right now, if not the
That's
best.
impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Are you here? That's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got a huge field there to beat out, and he did it twice in a row.
I mean, it has to show that there is some semblance of skill involved.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, we had Austin on, same thing. I believe he's a multi-winner. No, more than once. Dan, am I mistaken there?
I mean, he's got the one big one with the playoff challenge, and he's finished well, but never up top like that. That's a completely doing it twice. Yeah, Like you say, it's a tough feat, and it definitely shows skill.
100%. So, we started touching on these rookies, but Mike, I just want to get a quick feel. Again, we talked about your portfolio. I always like to get an idea of how our guest approaches their dynasty rosters. Are you a win now guy? Are you like the progressive, what is that called? Progressive struggle type of guy? What's your philosophy when you approach your dynasty rosters?
So I like dynasty because I think more than redraft, you can try many different options. You could play to win now. You could play to win later. Even when you draft, you could focus on youth over talent. But for me, I want to win. So I have a hard time when I see people drafting even in new startups right now. I see guys that haven't been drafted yet. They don't have any landing spot. You have no idea who their quarterback's going to be. Getting drafted over guys like Allen Robinson, who has proven that he could be a top 10 wide receiver with Blake Bortles, with fucking Mitch Trubisky. So, like, for me, if I'm doing a startup, I want Allen Robinson and guys like that more than I want some of these wide receivers like Devontae Smith. I'm not taking Devontae Smith over Allen Robinson right now in a dynasty startup. So, for me, I think you just have to pick and choose where you want your youth. I think I don't know. I just like to have some of these veteran players. I just think that you can get such good value when you draft with people that overvalue these rookies. So if you're drafting rookies straight up, or if you're drafting the rookie draft picks, I just think people put way too much value in rookies and the draft picks. And they undervalue players like that will win you a championship on a consistent basis. And Allen Robinson's still only 27. That dude's got plenty of years left in him. So I just think you have to be smart. Just don't put too much stock in guys that haven't shown they can do shit yet. When you're leaving so much talent on the bench there for your opponents to pick up. But I do I did have one league where I had the first pick in the draft. I think it was in 2018. And we were just drafting veterans. So I took Barkley 1 overall. And then my next 7 or 8 draft picks, I just kept getting trade offers for. And they were overpaying, paying me way too many rookie draft picks. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to trade back and acquire all these draft picks. It's now my team has, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, Kyler Murray with Joe Burrow and Tua. And, I also had so many picks that I traded for, McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. This team is so stacked, it's ridiculous. That was a fun team to build. It started with nothing, but I was able to trade the, Clyde Edwards-Helaire hype and an extra draft pick, turn that into Christian McCaffrey. That's easy. I haven't seen Helaire do anything. And I don't know what this other draft pick is ever going to be, but I know what McCaffrey is.
Well, I think a lot of the time, Mike, is people don't seem to put into place or realize that the guy that you're passing on, the proven guy that you're passing on, and the guy that you're actually taking, you're only hoping for him to be the guy that you passed on. And I feel like sometimes people forget that. You already have that guy. Why are you going for the not so sure thing when you already have it? He's not going to, you know what I mean? Unless it's a total different in ceiling. But I feel like that's a big mistake.
And John says it right there. Proven talent heavily outweighs speculation. But people see that it's that box. It's that potential. Mm-hmm. It's that promise that they just want that. You know what I mean? So it's a gamble. And I get that. And I think there's a time and a place to do it. But if Allen Robinson's been proven to be a top flight wide receiver with garbage arms, why would you even pass that up? I saw somebody today talking about that he was sitting around in the 6th or 7th round of a startup. And I'm like, that's mind-boggling to me. I've been a huge Allen Robinson fan, even when he was the Cade garbage time with Blake Bortles.
He's so underrated.
I mean, yeah, he's very underrated. He's always a winner.
This guy right over here, definitely huge Allen Robinson fan.
Oh, I won leagues with him the last 2 years easily. Like getting him for cheap too, man. It just blows my mind.
Yeah. So
you look at a guy like that he didn't even have a quarterback. You know what I mean?
I am a reformed Allen Robinson hater. So JD reformed me.
It's the guys like Julio Jones that maybe you want to take a risk on a rookie over a Julio Jones who is a few years older and broken down. But then again, someone's going to get great value if Julio Jones is Julio Jones for a couple more years. So,
right.
I mean, that's the fun of the game. You just have to know when to gamble. I just think some people gamble, and I've done it. I've had drafts where I've just put everything into rookies or these just young, just give me the youth. Give me the youth. I'll hope the talent shows up later. And it's fun to try, but you can't win like that consistently.
Mm-hmm.
You still gotta hit, because you could have done it last year and built yourself a nice roster, got yourself some JJ, some CD, some JT, but you're probably not getting all those guys unless you really line yourself up. You see guys now on Twitter, I got the 1, 2, 3, the 7, 8,
It's
and they
almost,
do that, it happens.
Yeah, it's almost as if, NFL GMs struggling to, identify talent and get their draft picks right. And then we as fantasy players think we're better than them.
Well, here's the key. If you acquire all the draft picks, you're bound to get some of them right.
Right, exactly.
Right? You can't possibly miss on all of them if you have every draft pick.
But that's the key is volume. I mean, if you're sitting there trying to take, targeted, I'm gonna hit this guy and hit that guy and that's it. Good luck. Good luck to you.
I think you also, on the flip side, if your team is a mess, be prepared and be okay and be ready to jump ship.
Yeah.
Trade your guys and get value for the dudes that you have and, learn how to build something from the ground up, because it might suck to play those games and to get your dick stomped, but, over time, it should be fun to build that team. If you really like playing the game like that, that is another part of the game that I know people love. People love taking orphans over that are just dog shit and rebuilding them over time and just trading all their assets and acquiring draft picks. And, so there is a time and a place where you can put all your eggs into those rookie baskets. But if you're in a startup with veterans, don't pass over guys like Robert Woods, who is just going to be a beast every year and just be consistent every year for a guy that
he doesn't look sexy on your roster when you take
him.
You know what I mean?
But this hope in a box does, like hope in a box does, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's like that meme, the Family Guy meme, Do we want the boat or you don't want the mystery box? The mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
It could be a boat.
The boat is back. The boat is back, baby.
The boat is back.
I love it. That's the title of the show right there. The boat is back. So let me ask you guys.
Rookie fever is just going nuts.
It totally is.
I trade my established star for a couple of picks, and a lot of people are thinking like that. And I mean, I think that you got to sit back and realize the goal in Dynasty is to win Dynasty League. It's not to have every good young player and to trade guys when they're at max value to get the next young guy. So I think a lot of guys, they're thinking they're going to get the next Jonathan Taylor, and it just doesn't always happen.
Right.
I enjoy making my picks and rookie pick when I've got my team built, and I want to add a guy at the end of my receiver core. I need some depth at RB. Like I'm not drafting a guy necessarily unless I got the top 2 picks and I need a running back like an RB3, RB4 on a competitive team. Fine. But I'm really not depending on a receiver. Theo, let me go back to you and maybe we'll go around on this one. general rule of thumb is you keep your draft picks until you're on the clock. That is the biggest value you're going to get. And then the other way around, if you can buy those picks, you want to do it as far from the draft as possible. What are some differences that you play with when it comes to draft picks? Because I know, Theo, you've been really active, building, whether it's buying orphans or your own dynasties. Where are you playing right now? We're a week before the draft. I know I have on a very competitive team, I have the 102. In the RB spot, I got JT and Akers, and then like Penny. This is an FFPC, and then loaded in the other positions. Now you have a 102. Am I waiting until the rookie draft to move that for something proven? Am I just taking Etienne or whoever it is? Like, I guess my point is, how closely do you follow these rule of thumbs when it comes to the draft picks? And what is it that you're looking to do 1 week away from the draft right now with the picks that you're holding, if anything, or the other way around when you're going out hunting for picks?
So I don't necessarily adhere to the only move a draft pick while you're on the clock.
So I asked you first because I noticed.
I've had some success moving picks, a month out. I think that sometimes people get 6 weeks, 8 weeks out from a rookie draft, and they might realize that they have to change up their team, they have to rebuild. I'll look for teams like that in my league. I had one league where I have a nice looking roster for this year, and I moved the 5th and the 7th pick and something else like a future 3rd or future 4th, and I got Devontae Adams, and I locked him up, and I have arguably a wide receiver 1. Yeah, so I felt great about that one. Mm-hmm. The guy was in a rebuild, and I said, listen, this is the move. We went back and forth on a number of trades, and I walk away with Devontae Adams. So I think that you've got to look at it for your league. In some leagues, it might be better to hold your picks, but if you have an opportunity to strike early, go ahead and strike early. And in terms of the high pick, I generally think that that's the way to do it, is to hold on to the very, the cream of the crop, the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, where you have the Harris, the Etienne, the Jamar Chases. If you're holding Kyle Pitts in the tight end premium, you want to hold that. But around this time, I'll make a couple of small offers. I offered the 102 for A.J. Brown. I was turned down, but I'm going to make a couple offers like that for, the top-notch dynasty guys, see if I can't move a top pick for one of those guys and just be done with it. That's the way I'd push the picks. But I don't think you always need to hold till draft day. I don't think that always applies. And on the flip side, a guy like Etienne, even a guy like Harris, their landing spot a week from now might not be as ideal as we're thinking. There's a chance that guys lose a little value. I don't think there's any chance that Jamar Chase loses value. I don't think there's any chance that Kyle Pitts loses value. I think those guys are Teflon. But when it comes to running backs, if they get drafted into a perceived split backfield, then they might not be the 101, and those picks, become a little less valuable. So I think I don't think you have to adhere to those rules. I think generally, historically, it's probably the move, but when the time is right for you to improve your roster, that's the time you move.
Always strike when the iron is hot, man.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
If you got to trade them, trade them. But I think a valid point he said is, if you're holding on to those early picks, you don't want to move them too far away from the draft because, I think you're going to get more for them as the draft gets closer. But if you're somebody who's trying to jump into the early portion of the draft, you might want to start throwing those offers out a little sooner than normal. You know what I mean? A month ahead of time, 6 weeks ahead of time. And
even just to let people know that you're interested, right?
Yep.
That, and as it gets closer to the draft, the value is going to be higher. So why not try to get it for a little bit cheaper, long ahead of time? You know what I mean?
Dan, where are you?
I don't wait. I say trade your draft picks. If you got them, trade them. Do it. What are you waiting for?
Yep, exactly. All right. Well, two things. I mean, first off, we got John here chomping at the bit to get in, and we got to let this guy
yes,
in.
nice. I love it.
Yes. So
I guess he hit the right number of comments to get invited on the show.
Yep. Yeah, John, this is a perfect conversation for John to jump into. But,
he's muted. I don't know if he knows that.
Yeah, I just saw you guys kind of say, hey, you want to jump in? So I was, hey, have at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome.
So
what do you think about draft?
I'm right there with Theo and Mike. I mean, I think you gotta start putting offers out now. Whether you've got picks and you're looking to move them, or you've got players and you're looking to move them for picks, this is the time to start making those offers and, see who's at least open to moving them, because a lot of times you'll just get that flat reject, and you can tell, I'm not going anywhere with this guy. But, other times you can find that guy who's like, well, you know what, I want to wait till a little bit closer to the draft, but this is something I might consider, and so you've got some valuable information now. And he also knows he's got a potential trade partner if he decides, I do want to make a move. So, it's good to get out there and get those feelers out right now and find out who's willing to move, who's looking to, shake things up. One thing I'm looking at is I know we're going to get into tiers and so forth here in a little bit, but, I'm looking at, how the tiers are breaking down. If I've got like the 105 and the 110 or whatever, can I move that for the 103? Because I think that might be a good move, because I think you're talking about the 105 in a lot of leagues is going to be, if you're talking about a one quarterback league, no tight end premium, that's going to be a tier down from like the 103. So, there's a lot of things like that you can do, and you just got to start thinking about your tiers. Things aren't going to break exactly.
How do I get Kyle Pitts in that league? That's all you need to tell me.
Right.
One quarterback tight end premium league. What position do I need to get up to get Kyle Pitts?
There you go. So, but there's just so many, there's so many different ways that you can move right now. And the best thing to do is just be throwing out the feelers. Maybe you get a deal done, maybe you don't, but just get the feelers out there.
I sent out about 35 trades today alone. So I trade everything away. I have 0 draft picks in almost every draft. I'm the guy who I'll wait till year 2 when people are getting impatient with players they drafted, in the middle rounds. But I'm more of a guy. I really don't want if I had that first round pick or that early second round pick or even mid second round pick, I'm going to trade that away for as much proven commodities as I could possibly get. Depth at running back, more of a young receivers who I can see have talent, but are in bad situations right now. Guys who I know have I like having third round, like mid third round picks, late third round picks, and fourth round picks. Just a couple of them, like 3 or 4. So anybody that I had eyes on in the draft that falls down to the third round pick, those I'll just sit back there. And I didn't. If it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But I only wasted a third round pick on somebody who I liked or somebody who fell. So that's what I always do with my picks. I trade everything away I possibly can, and then when guys have a full rosters and they have to import, all the draft picks they traded for, they see that they had already picked, 2 or 3 first rounders, 2 or 3 second rounders, and now they're going to have to either cut guys in their roster or get rid of these inputted, third, fourth, fifth round draft picks they got. They'll trade those away for almost nothing when it comes draft time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always that guy. They trade everything away at first, get as much as I can, and then reclaim things later on.
Yeah.
So, all right,
I hate it.
Guys, before we get into actual players, because I know, right now, again, going into, we don't know where these guys are landing. So tiers are super important, right? Especially you want to take advantage before the draft. So we're going to get into individual positions and players and kind of where we see the breaks happening. John, I'm so glad you jumped on, buddy. Glad to have you on. Dan, before we move on, we got to give a shout out to our friends over at Viridian Global, man.
No, yeah, definitely.
I've got my True North on right now. I got my goat hat on. Whether you're listening to our show, obviously we want you guys to support the show any way you can. Get your goat gear, but they got all kinds of goodness over there, man. If you're a fantasy football fan, if you're listening to, actually Mike, you've got I believe some merch on the Viridian Global.
There is some Stoner merch on Viridian Global, and I've given them a few designs. One is the Brandon Ayuk, the Air Ayuk shirt was something I suggested, and there's another one that they sent me the design for, and I haven't seen it up on their website yet, so I'll wait. Actually, fuck it, I'll mention it. I like to call the Chargers the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. Rather than the LA Chargers. So nice. They made a San Diego Chargers of LA shirt. That looks pretty cool. So that'll be up there soon too. Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Chargers fans, old school Chargers fans will like that.
Yes.
Yeah, they got all kinds of goodness. We got a champ shirt 101. If you won your league last year, it's got the golden goat on the front, nice long sleeve tee. We got hats like this one, caps, toques. You want to get one of Mike's shirts. You can get a picture of Mike on a shirt, I believe, beard and all, flexing it. I know your wife will love you wearing that when she leans in to give you a kiss at night. That's no, man, honestly, those guys, but even just what you're saying, Mike, the fact that you give those guys ideas, like they are such a quick turnaround because you give them ideas or you think about stuff. I talk to Will and Mark, often more Will a bit because he's kind of more local for me. But yeah, man, those guys will turn something around super quick. So if you have an idea and, maybe it's not on the site already, I actually encourage you to reach out to one of those guys. I'm sure they'll entertain your idea and even maybe get something done with it. So check out viridianglobal.com/collections/Goat District. Get all your goat gear there. We appreciate you guys for supporting us. And we haven't forgot about our free or our hat draw for the goat gear. So we'll announce that next show. I just didn't have all the information. I don't want to do a draft early and miss someone. So we'll handle that on the next episode. But guys, let's move into the last, kind of the last section of the show here. Maybe what people came here for. We're talking rookies. I'll go to you first, Theo, because you actually broke this down nicely for us tonight. You kind of simplified it, broken down my position. And when I looked at it, I was like, that's pretty much what you want to know right now because Mike, you talked about a draft where you went and grabbed Barkley, and then you had a lot of other picks that were wanted. There was high demand for it. You managed to move them. I feel like in rookie picks, I like to kind of identify the pieces I want, and I grab them, especially if they fall at a nice value, and then you can move other pieces. So if you know exactly where the right pieces are going to be or where they fall, where the tiers break, I feel like you have an advantage when you go into these drafts. So let's start at my favorite position, the position we talk about the most on here, Dan. We often say it's like the weed stocks of fantasy land, the running back position. Just for whatever reason, my favorite position, but just the fluctuation of it, whether it's injuries or just the positional, competition at the position. So let's start with the RB4. I mean, can we all agree that the top three RBs have been clearly identified?
I think so. I mean,
yes.
we know who's likely to go top three in any rookie draft for sure.
So Dan, I'll start with you. If you're picking the top three RBs are off the board and you're seeing a nice value for your RB4, who is that RB4?
I mean, right now it's really hard for me to say because the draft capital, the NFL draft capital is probably going to determine who my RB4 is. In a vacuum, I'm probably going Gainwell or Hubbard, but it's not going to be a vacuum. One of those guys is probably going to go up.
Not like that.
So, and it could be Trey Sermon, just as easily, if he gets some serious draft capital, that's the way I'm going. So,
okay. So basically the biggest factor for you, and I mean, usually at the running back position, you're looking at where they're going to land before you make a decision.
Right. Yeah. If somebody takes Hubbard on day 3 and Sermon and Gainwell both go on or day 2, and Sermon and Gainwell both go on day 3, then Hubbard is going to be, my RB4. If all 3 of them go on day 2, then, it's going to depend on exactly where their landing spot is.
Okay. John, where are you at on these RBs, man, when we're falling in the 4 spot?
Yeah, Trey Sermon. It's Matt Waldman's number 1 running back in this draft class. JJ Zach Reason loves him. He's got the size. He's just a pounder. He could be the steal of this draft as far as I'm concerned. He's just great on the field. He processes everything great. He sees. He just kind of shifts. He's just everything about him is. I don't think he's the number 1 running back in his class. I do think he is probably number 3 or 4. I think I would probably take. I'd probably take Sermon even over guys like Javonte Williams.
I was just going to ask you that. You're that bullish, eh? So he's literally your RB3.
Yeah, I think he is my RB3, and some people have, some people are in a situation where, they have Travis Etienne number 1 and Najee Harris number 2, and, kind of that mixed match of those top 3 running backs. But, I think it's Najee Harris number 1. And then honestly, I would probably, in most drafts, I would probably take Trey Sermon number 2.
Hot take. Wow. Right there, but John McGlynn, the Irish assassin. All right, Theo, I'm coming to you, man. We've got. I think Dan agreed that Sermon could be a possible RB4, and then it depends on the landing spot. John's super bullish on him. Where are you right now on the RB? Well, I guess on your first RBs, and then where do you fall in the 4th?
It's funny because I had a team that I split with a buddy of mine, an FFPC team, and about maybe 6 weeks ago, I said, at the 205, we're taking Trey Sermon. That's it. But now it's looking like Trey Sermon stuck into the back end of the first round. He's got a lot of steam, and the running back class is so thin that he's going to end up going at that 112, 201 range for non-super flex. So I can understand what John's saying about Trey Sermon. I think he's very safe in terms of if you want a quick guy. It seems like it's going to be very difficult for Trey Sermon not to have at least 1 running back 2 season in his NFL career with upside that he could do a lot better. But for me, the guy that I'm getting the most excited about in my running back 4 is Gainwell. I think that I'd like to see him land on the right situation, but he's such a dynamic receiver. He's 201 pounds. He ran a 4.5 40, and he kept Antonio Gibson in the slot. And we all saw Antonio Gibson last season. So I think Kenny Gainwell he opted out of last season. But if you go back and look at his highlights from 2019, he's explosive. He's going to help somebody right away as a receiver. And I think in today's NFL, if all it takes is one team to view him in an Eckler, Kamara like role, and I think he could make a real fantasy impact. So I'm going to go Kenny Gainwell, but Trey Sermon would be my running back 5. I think a cop out. And I think that a week from now, Trey Sermon might be a day 2 guy, and this might be a moot point. But right now, I'm Kenny Gainwell.
Mike, where you at on this RB?
Yeah, for me, it was either Gainwell or Sermon, but I lean Sermon just based on, I don't know, I'm a size guy, size matters. My running back, I want him to be a beast who can handle the load. And I feel like Gainwell and Carter, they might have that role as the pass catching back. And that's the NFL we have right now, right? It's a tandem backfield. You're not going to have workhorse backs anymore. Even if Miami takes Najee, it's going to be him and fucking homeboy they already had, whose name just slipped my mind. What's that?
Gaskin.
Yeah, Myles Gaskin. It's going to be them too. Gaskin's going to have a role. I think he did enough last year to earn a role. And Gainwell and Carter will earn roles, but I like Sermon. And again, it really will depend on, I think, where they land. And he probably ends up going ahead of Javonte for me if he hits the right spot.
Yeah, Sermon broke his collarbone, but he should be fine. That it said it didn't need to be no pins, no nothing put in his shoulder, so he should be fine with that. And then, Gainwell sat out. He's a forgotten guy because a lot of people haven't, seen him in a while. So this is a tough position, but Sermon's my guy. So
yeah. See, what I like about Hubbard is if he'd come out last year, he'd have probably been, he looked fantastic in 2019. 2020 wasn't his greatest year, but they had issues there on his team. They just weren't blocking real well. It wasn't it was a down year for the team as a whole. And so, I think Hubbard's still got some real upside. I think probably it's going to be Gainwell and Sermon over Hubbard, but I think there could be a chance that a team really falls in love with Hubbard and they put him up there in round 2, maybe even round 3. And, everybody says, wow, they really overdrafted him, but they might be onto something too.
Again, Dan, but I'm all over Hubbard. Like right now he's, without knowing positions, he is my RB4. I think back to last year why I had so much James Robinson. I'm not looking for a Deion Lewis when I'm drafting a running back. I'm not looking for like a guy that's going to sit on my bench and I got to throw in like a Tariq Cohen, or I'm looking for a dude that's going to win me a league. That can be a legit workhorse, take over an offense, sits in, ends up in the right position and can literally take my team to the next level. That's what I'm looking for. If I can't get that in the draft, I'm gonna trade my pick away. I'll move back. And I feel like this year I'm probably going to be moving back to get Hubbard in drafts because of guys like Gainwell and Sermon going ahead of him. The fact that he's Canadian might be a little, just like a little, just maybe a little bit maple chub. I don't know. I might have one right now. Who knows, right? But no, man. I just, again, 2,000 yards. I'm not.
Oh man, there are children watching.
Oops. No, man. Again, 2,000 yards in college. I'm not the biggest college guy, but I would imagine that's not an easy feat. So 2020 to me, anything that happened in that year is I not that I can completely forgive it, but I give it a bit of a pass just because of the year it was, right? So if this guy did it the year before, came in the last year, and Dan, you threw in some reasons, and we can just think with what we've lived in the last year, what effects were in there. I don't know. To me, he's got the highest upside when we were looking at these guys past the top 2. I could be wrong, but that's kind of my home run hitter that I'm focusing on. I go into these rookie drafts, like I said, I'm picking like 2 or 3 guys that I'm focusing on. Otherwise, I'm probably moving my picks just because I like to prove it. That to me, that's what we're picking these guys for, right?
Go district, the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden, they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice, from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man, y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.